Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place where we really get into a stack of sources to pull out these compelling stories and sometimes pretty surprising facts.
hmm
Today, we're going on quite an epic journey, actually. We're diving deep into this really richly woven fantasy world, pulled straight from a novel excerpt.
Right.
And we're going to be following a character, a protagonist, on this extraordinary path she takes towards self-discovery. We'll navigate some really complex relationships and explore a world just full of ancient magic, political maneuvering,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. And our mission, really, for this deep dive is to pull out the core insights from this character's huge transformation. We want to understand how all these external pressures, and importantly, her own awakening inner power, how they shape where she's headed.
We'll be looking at that complex mix of duty, desire, and even what it really means to be a monster in this world.
Exactly. It's a fascinating dynamic.
And this isn't just us retelling a story, It's about getting under the skin of the adventure, the twists you don't see coming, and the really deep emotional stakes that just make it grab you. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So our story really focuses on Imogen now. She's this young woman, and her life is just steeped in fear and isolation.
Right. She's King Nemea's ward, but it sounds less like guardianship and more like confinement.
Absolutely. She's practically kept in Fort Lenham, and she's living in this constant dread of the sea, which is ironic because, well, that's her true nature, isn't it?
It is. She's a siren, a really powerful, magical creature of the ocean, but she doesn't know it, or she spent her whole life trying not to know it.
Yeah, the source text describes her as feeling ground down and soft, how she's spent her life ignoring its lure. She's isolated, even with this big engagement feast coming up.
And what's really striking is that it's not just physical walls keeping her in. It's this psychological prison built on a fear of the very thing she is. Even inside Fort Lenham, which is supposed to be safe, the text says the scent of the sea and the salt air managed to slink past the defenses. It fills her with this upending sort of dread.
Wow. So it's inescapable.
Pretty much. It just highlights this mental torment she's under. It makes you think, how many of our own fears are maybe just misunderstood parts of ourselves?
That's a great point. So she's trapped in this dread. How do things start to shift? Who are the people who kind of see past her defenses?
Well, the first key figure is King Theodore. He's described as this brooding figure, and he just cuts right through her facade almost immediately.
Oh, so.
He asks her this really piercing question, something about people living up high, having something to fear or something to hide, and it just makes Imogen feel stripped bare.
He sees her vulnerability straight away.
Yeah, he's the first one to notice the tears in her eyes, how she's conspicuous in that gown. The gown's meant for a celebration, but on her, it just emphasizes how out of place and uncomfortable she feels. He sees her, unlike King Nemea.
Nemea. Let's talk about him. He seems like the complete opposite, right? Very controlling.
Definitely. You see his possessive side, that manipulative streak. There's his snide voice, that frigid look he gives her hair, the way he introduces her to Theodore, cold, sharp.
Like she's an object.
Exactly. And the source mentions his years of obsessive complaining about Theodore, always calling him a boy king. It paints a picture of someone who sees Imogen as just a piece on his political chessboard.
Okay, so that sets the scene for the engagement feast, which sounds like it's just simmering with tensions.
Oh, absolutely. It's this dance of discomfort, you could say.
Yeah.
Theodore, interestingly, pushes back against Nemea right away, fearlessly retorts about Nemea's lack of kingly duty.
Good for him.
Yeah. And then he does something kind of unexpected. He asks Imogen to dance.
Okay.
And he notices she can barely breathe in her dress because it's so tight. So he actually slows down, tells her, "You cannot breathe." It's this small moment of real empathy from someone who seems to actually see her struggle.
That's quite a contrast to Nemea. But then the focus shifts to Evander, her fiancé, and things get much darker.
Much darker. Evander is Nemea's captain. Initially, he's described as handsome, maybe even showing some solemn, surprising adoration. But that doesn't last.
What happens?
Well, fueled by wine at the feast, he gets possessive during their dance. And his real goal becomes terrifyingly clear. He wants to form a blood bond with her.
A blood bond. What does that entail in this world?
It's not just symbolic. He tells her it'll make him untouchable by sirens, that his men will see him as a god. It's a deep, magical, physically binding pact, and he intends to force it.
Which leads us straight into this shocking moment of awakening. Is that the right word? Her whole world just shatters.
I think awakening fits, but it's brutal. Evander tries to force the bond using something called a siphon.
It's a siphon.
Yeah, and chillingly, it's described as a tool normally used for executing sirens. He uses it to try and fill her chest with seawater.
Oh my God.
The transformation is immediate. It's violent. The text describes this painful shift. Wings literally rip through her skin. Her nails turn into talons.
Wow.
And her first act, fueled by this terrifying new power, she drowns Evander, takes his breath, feels this monstrous power surge through her. It confirms everything she's feared and denied. She's a siren, Lygia's daughter.
So this repressed identity just explodes out of her violently.
Exactly, a violent reclaiming of herself.
So now she's killed her fiancé. What does she do? Where can she possibly go?
In desperation, she seeks refuge with the one person who showed her a flicker of understanding, King Theodore.
And she tries to form a bond with him.
Yeah, a raw, unrefined blood bond attempt.
Yeah.
It's purely instinctual, a desperate plea for protection from Nemeia, who she knows will be after her now.
How does Theodore react to this transformed, desperate siren showing up?
It's a mix. Initially, the text says he feels bewildered awe at her appearance, then concern. But he's also a king. He knows the political danger this could start a war. He needs time. Plus, he's already betrothed to Princess Hala.
So he's weighing the risks.
He is. It's a calculated risk. But ultimately, seeing what Nemeia is capable of, describing Nemeia's actions as atrocity after another, he agrees to bind them. Partly to protect her, yes.
It sounds like a huge decision. Is it purely altruistic, though, or is there maybe some strategy involved for Theodore, protecting her, but also gaining a powerful magical ally?
That's a really sharp question. I think it's complex. His desire to shield her from Nemeia feels genuine. But yes, he's a king in a dangerous world. Binding himself to a siren, however risky, gives him a significant magical edge. It's probably a mix of that burgeoning personal connection and strategic thinking.
And this bond isn't just symbolic, you said. It has real, immediate consequences.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just a promise, it's a literal physical link. The text makes it clear they experience immediate sickness, actual pain, if they're separated.
Wow. So they're physically tied together now.
Pretty much. And what's fascinating is how it instantly rewrites their emotions. Another character, Agatha, explains it. The bond makes you believe you're the person best suited to care for him.
So it creates this possessiveness.
Exactly. The thought of him marrying someone else like Hala would drive you mad. It forces this intense intimacy that might not even stem from their own free will initially.
That's unsettling. Is her growing feeling for Theodore real, or is it the bond?
That's the terrifying question, isn't it? It challenges the whole idea of free will versus enchantment, especially when it comes to love.
So this intense, possibly unnatural bond forces them to seek answers, right? Which leads them to Rohana, the mage seer of Varia.
Yes. They need to understand what's happening, what Imogen is, what this bond means.
What exactly is a mage seer in this context?
Rohana is ancient, described as time-hardened. She's a siren seer, but centuries of seeing prophecies have damaged her eyes. Her kind of magic is rare, powerful. It can amplify the power of gods.
But there's a catch.
A big one. It comes at a great cost. The magic often demands payment in flesh. Just her presence signals deep, dangerous magic.
And Theodore has history with her. Bad history.
Very traumatic. He reveals this forced ritual of transference with his father years ago, orchestrated by Rohana.
Ritual of transference, what did that do?
It sounds like a brutal magical exchange. In Theodore's case, power, maybe even life force, was transferred. It killed his father and left Theodore with a crown and power he never wanted, plus this deep-seated hatred for Rohana.
So he wanted nothing to do with royalty after that?
No, he found peace living away from court with these figures, Hector and Antonia. Being dragged back into this world, especially involving Rohana, is his nightmare.
Which must make the prophecy she delivers even more terrifying for him. And for Imogen.
Definitely. Rohana gives Imogen this chilling vision. There is a crown, ripped from the head. There is a bond, cut from the blood. The queen lies drained of her divinity. The king sits wrecked and ravaged beneath her wing. What they have made will decimate the order of all things, will bring chaos, will bring ruin, will bring death. It points directly at them, their bond, and a catastrophic future.
And the payment for this prophecy
is horrifying. Theodore is unconscious, vulnerable. So Imogen, in this act of fierce protection, pays Rohana herself, with her own flesh and hair.
That's gruesome. It really shows the brutal cost of this magic.
And Imogen's growing willingness to sacrifice herself.
But the search for answers doesn't stop there. Imogen digs into old texts, right? And finds something huge about Nemea's god.
This is maybe the biggest twist.
Hmm.
She discovers the truth about Usia, the water deity Nemea worships.
What's the truth?
Usia isn't just some abstract god. She's real. And she's Ligia's Imogen's mother's sister, and she's the first mage.
Wait, Ligia's sister and a mage?
Yes. And she's not dead as people thought. She's this monstrous entity kept alive by sacrifices. And the most horrifying part, Usia has been feeding on Imogen's power through Nemea since she was a baby.
Nemea was feeding her to this monster.
He confesses it. He claims he didn't kill Ligia, Imogen's mother, but tried to protect her from Usia. He says he gave Imogen's blood to Usia as a mercy, to stop Imogen suffering the same fate as her mother, being used up slowly by Usia's power drain.
That's not mercy, that's horrific manipulation.
Absolutely. And he even taught Imogen Usia's prayer when she was a child. So twisted.
And this connects to a wider conspiracy, the Obelian conspiracy.
Yeah, it unravels further. Empress Navala, from another kingdom, is revealed to be a priestess of Usia. She's been orchestrating sacrifices for Usia.
Sacrifices like?
Including, it seems, the murder of her own family, the Nells, who were also related to Imogen for their jewels, which were offerings to Usia. And Navala knew who Imogen really was all along.
This is getting incredibly dark and complicated.
And it doesn't stop there.
Right.
Princess Hala, Theodore's fiancée. She also worships Usia. She performs rituals, wears a spinal necklace identical to a ring. Imogen has a jewel explicitly linked back to those murdered Nells.
So Hala is complicit? Or is she just unaware of the darker parts?
That's a good question. It seems she's definitely involved in the worship, but maybe not the full extent of Navala and Nemea's actions. But it leads directly to this major confrontation.
Right, on the beach, Hala's wedding ritual.
Exactly. Hala, maybe naively, maybe not, attempts Usia's blessing ritual for her upcoming wedding to Theodore.
And she uses the same prayer Nemea taught Imogen.
The exact same one. I give to the sand, give to the water, hear me, heed me, cleanse the sea. She sacrifices her own blood, asking Usia to power up Theodore's fleet with minions.
Minions, like Usia's creatures.
Seems like it. But Imogen, now knowing the horrific truth behind Usia and that prayer, she can't let it happen.
She intervenes.
Violently. She rips the crystalline stake Hala is using from her hand. Her talons are out, and she calls forth the Negya.
What are Negya?
They're described as siren corpses, animated and tied to Usia's will. She uses them to stop Hala's ritual. It's a raw display of her power, still pretty chaotic, but definitely stopping Hala.
But then she does something constructive. Heroic, even.
Yeah, it's a turning point. Amidst the chaos, she commands the sea to rescue a young siren girl caught in the turmoil. She calms the storm Hala's ritual stirred up, heals the injured. It's the first time we see her wielding her power, not just destructively, but with control, for good.
Showing her potential beyond just being this monster.
Exactly. It hints at a different kind of power she might possess.
And how does Theodore react to all this? His fiancée's ritual interrupted, Imogen revealing her full siren nature.
His reaction is total devotion to Imogen. He basically throws caution to the wind. He tells her outright he'll risk his kingdom, his marriage to Hala, his throne, everything for her.
He says his duty and desire are linked now.
Unquestionably tied to her, is how he puts it. He even says something incredibly intense, like he'd happily carve myself open again and pour you back inside me, referencing their bond.
Wow, that's intense. Does that really align, though? Can a king truly put personal desire, even one this strong, above his kingdom? Is that choice even possible?
That's the core question his declaration raises, isn't it? Is reconciliation possible, or is a devastating choice inevitable?
And he backs it up with actions, right? Confesses his feelings.
Oh, yeah. He admits he was besotted from the moment I saw you on that overlook in that ridiculous dress. Reveals he had a special binding gown made for her and a ring, honey-colored like her eyes. These aren't political moves. This is deep personal connection.
But despite this incredible bond and Theodore's commitment, Imogen realizes something terrible, doesn't she, about Usia?
She does. She witnesses Usia's power, directly sees these magical lures, compelling sailors to commit murder as a sacrifice. She realizes her own connection to Usia, amplified by her power, and maybe the bond with Theodore is getting stronger.
Making her own power harder to control.
Exactly. And tying her ever closer to this monstrous being. Then Usia herself reveals the cost of breaking free.
There's a ritual to destroy Usia.
Yes, but it requires Imogen to essentially perform a ritual of self-destruction. She has to offer her own flesh, blood, and kelp seaweed, which will literally stitch itself into her skin. It leads to this partial, monstrous transformation. And the text warns, what magic takes, it never returns.
So destroying Yuja means becoming something else, something monstrous permanently.
That's the horrifying price. It's not just killing an enemy, it's fundamentally altering her own being, potentially losing parts of herself forever.
Yet even knowing Theodore loves her, wants her, she decides she has to do it.
Yes. Despite everything she feels for Theodore, she chooses self-sacrifice. Her mantra becomes, kill Yuzha, find Agatha, keep Theo safe.
Agatha is someone they need to rescue.
Yes, another key figure caught up in all this. Imogen plans to take Hala, maybe as leverage, maybe for answers, to Anthemoessa, Yuzha's location, confront the entity, then get Agatha to safety.
Knowing this means leaving Theodore.
Knowing it means leaving him,
Well,
because she now sees herself as his greatest threat. Her connection to Yuzha, her volatile power. It's too dangerous for him, for his kingdom.
there's a resonance there with another character, Lachlan.
Yeah, Lachlan talks about being separated from Agatha for years, how he drank and I whored, but was never happy like I was with her. It underlines the immense personal cost of separation from a true bond, a cost Imogen is now choosing to bear.
So we end with these huge questions hanging in the air. Rohana's prophecy.
Right, it looms large. Imogen seems to accept that her bond with Theodore, her very nature, will decimate the order of all things, bring ruin if they stay together.
While Theodore, maybe blinded by love, wants to fight for it.
He insists. He tells her, I cannot see how yet, but if you will have me again at the end of all this, I am yours. He's all in.
But Imogen makes the hard choice.
She does. Despite wanting him, she chooses sacrifice. She knows the ritual might make her a thing worse than her mother. She feels her own power now includes this dangerous hunger for his blood, his flesh, tied to Yuzha. She has to protect him, even from herself.
It's the ultimate act of love, in a way, but also self-immolation.
A truly heartbreaking dilemma.
And her final act in this excerpt.
She commands the sea. Guide me to Varia one last time. She's setting off alone on this incredibly perilous mission, carrying the weight of needing to kill Yuzha, save Agatha, and protect Theo, ultimately from herself.
So, after diving deep into all that, what does it mean? For us, reading this, listening to this, Imogen's journey is immense, from fearful ward to this powerful, self-sacrificing siren.
It's an incredible arc, and I think if you connect it to the bigger picture, the story forces us to grapple with huge themes. Destiny versus choice, the nature of love when magic is involved, the true cost of power.
Right, how individual struggles crash against these massive political and magical forces.
Exactly. It forces these impossible decisions. The narrative really asks you to consider what power costs and what sacrifices are truly worth making for love or for the greater good, and maybe whether some bonds, no matter how strong they feel, have to be broken.
Which leaves us, and you, with a final thought to chew on. In a world like this, where your true self can be both blessing and curse, where that line between hero and monster gets so incredibly blurred, how do you choose your path when every single option demands an unimaginable price?